Listen to the unofficial voice of World Cup 2006, brought to you by Times Online and Avalon in association with the new Dodge Calibre.
You know, sometimes I'm recording things in Germany and I think what we need is something that makes it sound a bit more German.
Oh, yeah.
And I could never... I mean, how do you, in a thing like this, in a podcast, how do you actually illustrate that you're in Germany? You know...
I don't know, what should we do?
I can't think of anything. I mean, we need to add something, don't we, that sounds German.
Maybe there were some people shouting Lederhosen for sale or something.
I guess at the end of the day, I'll just have to take our word for it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Baddiel and Skinner's World Cup podcast, and I have no idea what's in the show tonight, so why don't you tell them, Frank?
Well, in this podcast, David explains which famous manager he'd like to eat. I reveal which famous songwriter's nipple I saw at the England game. We'll discover why Jermaine Jenas is in the England squad, and also which famous London monument made its World Cup debut this week.
So here we are, another stinking hot night in Nuremberg.
Yeah, it's been so steamy out here, but England won, so...
England won.
Oh, that's cheered us up a bit.
Yeah, that has. And last 20 minutes I thought they actually started playing like they could in fact win the World Cup.
Did you?
Yeah. I'm just waiting for that moment.
Yeah.
I did actually think
Oh,
that.
well, good. I'm glad you think that.
You know.
I thought it was a bit like when I watched The Usual Suspects, when I was watching the game, the England Trinidad Tobago, because when I watched The Usual Suspects, you know the Kevin Spacey movie.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I don't like this film very much. I don't think I'm really not that keen. And then the ending was so clever and so good. I kind of thought, no, actually, it was a brilliant film. It's just that it didn't become brilliant until the very end. So it was a kind of a Kaiser so-say. It wasn't a so-so performance, it was a so-say performance for me.
It was.
But what we did, we went to the game in the Dodge Calibre.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
some of you might know.
Have you mentioned the Dodge Calibre very early on?
I thought I'd get it out of the way because it hangs over me
Really?
like a hawk.
Yes, you love
until I
mentioning Dodge
mentioned it.
Calibre. Oh, well, it was fabulous, the Dodge Calibre.
So
really.
we were driven by our driver Bianca to the Nuremberg Stadium, and we had our little mini disc player in the back.
Yeah,
so we recorded our arrival, didn't we?
We did. Here it is. We're just arriving now at the Nuremberg Stadium for the Trinidad and Tobago game, and there's quite a lot of people standing around telling us where to park and all that kind of stuff. And I was wondering, because it's right next to the bit, they actually got the ruins of the building where Hitler used to hold his big rallies. And what I'm wondering is whether people arrived here and said, look, I'm here for the torchlit rally and the big stuff about national anti-Semitism and the resurrection of Germany, but I can't find the VIP parking anywhere. And is there any corporate hospitality?
I like that though. It's where Hitler had his big rallies. It was like a bike shed.
Yeah, but do you think that's what happened? Do you think people said, oh, well, there must have been people who got lost and said, can someone tell me where it's all going on now? I've got my laminate with fascist totalitarian written on it. No, what you want is a car park S1 for that.
And the flags fitted to the windows of the car as well, the Nazi flags.
Yeah. What's been brilliant on this, and I don't know, this is the first time, we're in the Dodge Calibre, this is the first time we've had the little flags, and we haven't noticed, of course, that if you wind down the windows, the flags fall out. Now, presumably everyone else knows this. We've lost about 5 flags on the way here.
The choice is either hand signals or be patriotic. You can't do both.
Yeah, so we went from the car park to our corporate hospitality area where
I was actually quite impressed by the Hitler buildings, though.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. I mean, we weren't making that up. The actual these big massive podiums and that, where Hitler had all these big Nuremberg rallies. I suppose that's why they were called the Nuremberg rallies, looking back.
Yes.
But I like the fact they're still there and stuff.
Well, we should explain they're not still there. They haven't been kept, as much as you might think the Germans would do this, they haven't been kept in pristine condition,
No,
just
but
waiting for the Fourth Reich.
No, they've let them get a bit knackered.
They are a
but
bit
still,
knackered.
You can imagine, all those like big eagle banners and people.
Yeah, well, it is a
black
slightly
shirts.
strange thing, because basically Nuremberg FC, I've never heard of. Have you heard of them?
They don't seem to get into Europe or anything, do they?
No, even though...
Not like they did in
Not
the old
like
days.
they did in the old days, yeah. But basically the stadium is surrounded by an enormous kind of concrete Nazi amphitheatre in ruins.
Yeah.
That is what it is. And there were loads of England fans kind of dancing on it in a way that were made, well, not Hitler turning his grave, made his ashes spin,
Yes.
I imagine. So we went from there to our corporate hospitality area. We always go, if you're wondering, to our sort of big corporate hospitality area. Now, you might be thinking, oh, prawn sandwiches and all that, but in fact, it seems to be absolutely full now, just of the ordinary football fan.
Yeah, I think most people, in order to get tickets, had to buy big kind of packages.
Yeah. So
Corporate packages.
corporate hospitality involving a lot of people drinking and singing and kicking tables over.
But Simon Fuller was in there, the pop impresario.
He was there, and Peter Kenyon was there, the Chelsea impresario. So,
who was that woman with the see-through dress that was there?
Oh, Kathy Dennis.
Kathy Dennis.
Who we think wrote "Can't Get You Out of My Head."
No, she did. I'm sure she did, because she was a singer originally, and she co-wrote.
Yeah.
I think with that bloke who looked gay in Mod. I'm not saying he was gay, but that was his act.
No. But Kathy Dennis actually said to me at one stage, before I knew it was Kathy Dennis, she said, "So do you know if Rooney will play?" As if I knew, which obviously I didn't at the time. But if I'd known it was Kathy Dennis, I might have answered her in song, for example.
Well, she had a completely see-through dress on, like a floral bra.
Well, she used to be a pop star, do you remember?
That doesn't mean you could see stuff through the dress.
Yeah.
You could
well,
see
that's why I had quite a long conversation with her about Rooney
you
being
could see
picked.
some-
I didn't say I didn't know.
You
I went on
could
for
see some
ages about it.
Oriole. You know the Oriole? Or is it the Oriole?
The Aureola. The Oriole, I think, is a type of shampoo.
No, it's a bird. It's an
No,
Oriole.
an Oriole is you're worth it.
No, I think it is a bird because it's mentioned in Rockin' Robin.
Yeah. Anyway, we went from
But you
there.
could see
Could you?
Kathy
Dennis's Oriole.
Oriole. I think it's Oriole, isn't it?
Does she not have a song?
Oriole Ferdinand. You could, and
Yes.
well, I enjoyed it.
Yes,
Anyway,
right.
we got into the game, and we did the usual. Do you sing the national anthem?
Oh yeah, I sing the national anthem at the time, but we had a discussion about this once, which is whether or not it's a good idea to sing the national anthem during the game. I like
No,
singing
I
it.
don't like it during
I
the
like
game.
singing it during the national anthem, but I think singing it during the game, you're halfway into singing, Rule Britannia and the stuff about the IRA. I think that's the problem. And also, I think the Queen herself hasn't got a lot to do with football. Do you know what I mean? If our national anthem wasn't about the Queen, if it was just about England, it would feel like it's sort of to do with football. But once it's about the Queen, what's she got to do with it?
Well, I don't know. I was at a dinner once at the Guildhall, and it was the Duke of Edinburgh was the star guest.
Oh yeah, you weren't the star guest.
No,
Okay.
he was the star guest, and we sang. Well, obviously they played "God Save the Queen," and everyone stood up, including him, and we all sang "God Save Our Great." And I looked at him, and there was a look on his face during the song. I could see he was thinking, "I've shagged her." That was the national anthem as played at the England-Trinidad-Tobago game and recorded on our little dictaphone.
Yeah, we recorded actually. We're not playing it. We recorded the Trinidad and Tobago anthem as well, which is a strangely mournful, slightly
Sort of East European
East European.
sounding.
It doesn't sound at all like the kind of Another Day in Paradise on steel tin
No.
drums, which it should do.
And you couldn't limbo to it, could
No,
you?
not at all.
Take all night. And then the game started, and we're all right now. The fact that we know we won, but actually it was
Well, no, it was actually it was
nightmarish.
incredibly depressing first half. I think
A
really
lo-
like a worse first half than against Paraguay.
A lot of it was horrible, and then there was that terrible incident when Peter Crouch missed a total sitter. Now we don't know, of course, being here in Germany, how John Motson or Martin Tyler or whoever it was described that.
No.
But I think Dave's analogy. I think maybe you should think about the football commentary as a full-time job.
Well, we've just seen Peter Crouch do what I think could be the worst miss ever in the history of the World Cup. Completely unmarked. He's got chance now to make up for it. No, he hasn't. Completely unmarked. Collapsed. Rather like, those puppets that you press from beneath and they just collapse. Yeah, often like giraffes and things. Exactly. That was what it was like.
It's a classic thing that, though. This happens at West Brom all the time. Is you play a team who are nowhere near as good as you, and then if you haven't scored after half an hour, the fans start getting on your back.
Yeah, well, they started...
And then the players start not wanting the ball and looking nervous.
Yeah, they started to panic, I think. And actually, around us, I thought that a lot of the England fans who had been very up started to get quite violent and unpleasant towards the England team in general.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were actually booed off at half-time.
No, they were booed off.
But to be honest, before we condemn them for that, if you hear us talking before half-time, you can see that we were getting a little bit pissed off with them as well.
So it's a corner for Trinidad and Tobago. The worst couldn't happen, could it? Oh, my... Oh, shit in hell! John Terrace has cleared the ball off the line. What's going on?
Yeah, so Rooney came on, and it was obviously incredibly exciting, and everyone was really kind of up about it. But I actually got a bit worried, because I did think that Sir Alex Ferguson, who has a really red face anyway, at that point, it must have been the reddest it's ever been with anger.
Well, but people go on about his red face, but there's quite a good bit of purple in it, and blue. And I think when he gets angry, when you see him shouting at matches... There's actually a lot of purple comes off. You know those mood rings? He's got a kind of a mood head.
That's true. The ones that get different colours depending on what mood you're
Yeah, so I think when he gets very angry, at the moment, I'd say he's probably mauve.
I think it was interesting. For a moment there, I thought you were going to sing that song, which I think we can sing because it's a nursery, which is red and yellow, but just about Alex Ferguson. So it would just have been red and purple and redder still.
I can sing an Alex Ferguson.
Yeah. Because I remember when Brian Clough was still alive, there was a point where his face seemed to look like a blackcurrant crumble.
Yeah, that is true. Poor old Brian Clough.
And I think that Alex is going that way, because I really like blackcurrant crumble. It's one of my favourite foods. And it was a quandary for me, because obviously it was quite disturbing seeing Brian Clough go like that. But I always thought, nice, yum yum, when he came on. I quite fancy that with a bit of custard.
Did you want to put custard on Brian Clough?
I did want to put custard on.
Oh, and sort of spoon off his features.
I did. I always wanted to, and I think Alex Ferguson is like that, because it's getting very... the thing is that with a red face, you don't just get one single redness. You get some kind of bits. And berry and purple bits, and they look like the berries to me. They look like the blackcurrant berries in the crumble.
I always think that Alex Ferguson it looks like a bloke who's lost a very small item in a blast furnace.
Yes.
And thought, oh, I'll just have a look in this. No, I can't see it. I'll have another look. And when he comes out, he's still smouldering slightly. So we left the Nuremberg Stadium and we were pretty chuffed.
Yeah,
Come on,
great.
we had
we'd won 2-0 England through to the second stage.
And Crouchy scored.
And Crouchy scored. Now, I've been
noticing... slagged him off in the first
Great
half.
that he proved us wrong. But also I noticed on German TV, I don't know if they're doing this at home, but they're replaying his goal, and it looks to me like they're saying that he climbed on the defender. Now, I just like the idea that you had to climb anywhere to get extra height. I just think, I love that. I don't care if it's a foul.
Yeah, but they've got to cheat bringing that up, because there was that thing when that defender, it should have been a penalty against Trinidad, when he was sort of wrapped around Peter Crouch.
Yes.
It was like watching a sweet pig up a bamboo support stick.
Oh my goodness.
He was entwined.
That's an allotment analogy if ever I heard one.
He was entwined around Crouchy, and Crouchy got nothing for it. So if he did do a bit of climbing, good luck to him.
You would have thought you could entwine yourself around Peter Crouch just by putting your hand out. You wouldn't have thought you had to in any way hug him.
Oh well, yeah, I think you have to coil someone
like
to get
a
around
mighty python. But anyway, on the way back, we were just chatting about every little detail of the game, weren't we? Every little tiny
Well, you know, when you're in the car
thing.
On the way back, you pull apart. It got so hardcore football.
Oh.
It was a bit like listening to Anson and Lawrenson at their most profound.
So one thing that happened during this game, which I don't know if was picked up at home, is that the Trinidad and Tobago fans started singing. Their main chant was "London Bridge is falling down," which seemed to be their response to abuse from the England fans to make us worry that London Bridge may indeed be falling down, and that would be a problem at home. And sorry, Karen.
No, I thought that was a good thing to sort of to have a go at a country by suggesting that some of their major building structures are not very reliable.
Yeah.
Oh, if we knew a building in Trinidad and Tobago, we could have started singing about that falling down, but I don't think anybody could name one.
Yeah. And also, what I would have liked is if they'd gone a bit further, because as you may know, Ring a Ring a Roses is about the plague.
Yes.
And if they started singing that, I might have thought, well, there's clearly a plague happening now in London, and I don't know, I think all those nursery rhymes have got an element of destruction to them.
Yeah, they could have kidded us that the Duke of York had staged some sort of military coup as well over a while. We'd have been worried sick about the country's welfare in general.
Or some sort of enormous egg had fallen off a wall and caused a terrible yolky mess.
It's great. I don't know what football fan to wind anyone up would think we'll sing that nursery rhyme about that place in their country collapsing.
But actually that made me love the Trinidad and Tobago fans even more, because the fact is, I mean, I quite like it when fans are very aggressive, but things like "you're shit" and "you know you are" and whatever. But London Bridge is falling down, and like, that might in some way destabilise us. It's a brilliant idea. It's a very sweet idea, I think.
It made me slightly edgy though, because I don't live too far from London Bridge, and I thought, oh God, how am I going to get home? I'll have to go further up the river and go over Vauxhall.
Is London Bridge is falling down actually based on a moment when London Bridge did fall down? Or is it just a nursery rhyme nightmare?
Well, if I'd never heard it before, I'd have presumed it was inspired by Peter Crouch's attempted goal in the first half, when it did look like a very spindly bridge falling down. Maybe the Millennium Bridge suddenly collapsing in a heap.
Yeah.
But I don't think it did ever fall down. It was taken down, wasn't it? Sold to the Americans.
Well, there's this myth, isn't it? Isn't this a myth that the Americans once, or some trickster, once sold London Bridge to the Americans, and it wasn't really London Bridge, but if you go to somewhere in Texas, is it, you can actually see London Bridge.
I think the truth is that they did buy London Bridge, but they assumed that London Bridge was Tower Bridge, so they thought it was going to be the big thing with the towers opening up in the middle.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
If the Trinidad and Tobago fans had managed to summarise that incident in a song, I think I would have felt slightly undermined, because whoever managed to sell that is obviously quite stupid, although obviously the Americans are the butt of that joke rather than us, I suppose.
The trouble is, they hadn't, the Trinidadian and Tobagoanians hadn't researched the whole London Bridge thing properly, so when they said London Bridge is falling down, I think most England fans thought to themselves, that's probably the one in America. It's probably not being well kept and stuff like that. They didn't think it was the one in England, so they weren't so fretful.
I'm very pleased to say that now with us is Bing Crosby.
Hi.
Bing, I was wondering how you felt about the controversial decision to play Wayne Rooney in today's game.
Well, it seemed to me that he looked kind of fit. Maybe not totally match fit, but nevertheless quite good, and he'll never get ready if you don't play him.
How did you feel the England defence shaped up in general?
I'm never sure about the England defence. Always think they look shaky, but today I thought... We had an email from Chris Baum, because you may remember that we were talking about the game. What game was it with all the floating things?
Mexico-Iran.
Yeah, Mexico-Iran. There was loads of dandelion seeds blowing around the pitch.
Yes.
And it was a case of 3 dandelions on a shirt.
Fantastic.
At least. But I wondered if it was those things that you get on your eyes sometimes that float about. But Chris Baum said, not sure what those floaters were during the Sweden-Trinidad game, but I'm pretty confident they weren't a case of...
Can I stop you there? It was the Sweden-Trinidad game, quite clearly.
That's what it would have been, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm pretty confident they weren't a case of mass simultaneous muscae volatantis. The technical term, as I'm sure you'll be all interested to know, for the drifting threads phenomenon Frank describes, which is caused by motes in the vitreous humour casting shadows on the retina. So it wasn't that, it was dandelion seeds, which I think was our original theory.
I think some people I know have got muscae volatantis. A lot of them go to clubs to try and sort it out.
Didn't he play for AC Milan?
Yeah, possibly. But I think the reason I got confused, it's very nice, by the way, Chris Baum, who I presume is a doctor. Or
Not
just
necessarily. Well, what, because of a sort of healing balm?
No, because he knows a lot about what those motes in your eye are.
If he was a doctor, the fact that he was a healing balm would be wonderful.
But we actually have
Do
kept...
you think he's nicknamed Tiger?
No.
Oh.
He not if he's looking for dandelions. What we've done, though, is keep an eye on the dandelion seeds phenomenon, and we've got a kind of dandelion watch going on here. And we noticed that during Mexico-Iran, there was a lot of dandelions again on the pitch. One reason why we might have thought that was Mexico-Iran, though, is because we did keep a kind of dandelion watch going, because it's become a bit of a phenomenon, we think, at this World Cup. And Mexico-Iran looked covered in dandelions.
Was that on the same ground as Sweden-Trinidad? Because you think, there's probably some waste ground next to the football pitch where there's the big dandelions, because that's what you always used to get, didn't you?
Don't people blow dandelions when they make a wish? Perhaps someone's making a very big wish outside all these football grounds, blowing the dandelions. I wish I'm going to win the World Cup.
But what are they going to get next? Like that flying ant day?
Yeah.
When there's loads of flying ants everywhere.
Yeah, there's terrible summer problems at the World Cup.
Life was so simple in the old days. You used to get a dog on the pitch was like the big sensation.
Yes.
Now you got squirrels at Highbury, dandelion seeds. Oh my God.
There's a problem with Iran, as you may know. There were big demonstrations following or just before the Mexico-Iran game, and one paper that we have got hold of quite easily, because of course we were away, is the International Herald Tribune.
You can always get crappy American papers on holiday that you never want to read.
You can always get the International Herald Tribune, and of course they're not very interested in football,
no.
but they are quite interested in international politics.
Oh,
and there's
yeah.
a great sentence in here about this, which talks about the Iran game. It says, the atmosphere at the Frankenstadion, just down the road from Hitler's preferred venue for his most elaborate Nazi rallies, was festive. Now that's a fabulous sub-clause, isn't it?
I like Hitler's preferred venue.
Yeah, Hitler's preferred
when
venue.
He toured.
Yeah.
You always look forward to that one. There's always a good crowd.
It was his favourite room. Interesting enough, they also point out that Mohammed Ahmadinejad, the Iranian president, has made Holocaust denial an intermittent theme in recent months.
Yeah, of course it's actually illegal in Germany to deny that the Holocaust happened.
Yeah, well that may be why he hasn't come, because I don't know if you know, but the Times wall chart, which has got pictures of us on it, which I actually, by the way, thought that when we were going through nicknames that Theo Walcott should be called Theo Wall Chart.
Because it's a World Cup thing.
It's a World Cup thing, and also because he's kind of staying behind in the dressing room at the moment, like the wall chart. So I thought that would be good.
Do you think anyone's filling him in on a regular basis?
I really hope not.
Oh, okay.
He's very young. But on the wall chart, I said that one of the things I'd like to see during the World Cup is the Iranian president being arrested for Holocaust denial. Now, he's not coming, I think, at the moment, but if he had come...
You could get around that, though, because I think in court, they read out what you said. So all you'd have to do, like if they said, do you deny the Holocaust? You go, oh, no, there was definitely a Holocaust. I'm sure that happened. And
I don't know if you can...
Or Saki.
I don't know if you can be done for Holocaust sarcasm.
No, you see, when they read that out, he'd say, oh no, there was definitely a Holocaust. He's
Yeah.
fired, so that's all he needs to do.
What I particularly like, though, is that he might have done the Holocaust sarcasm in such a camp way. What you sounded like there was Lauren Harris, the now famous bloke, the young kid who became a transsexual.
Not a bloke anymore.
Became a woman.
Became a lady.
Yeah, I like the fact that to be sarcastic, you have to sound like Lauren Harris in your imagination.
I always think sarcasm is very closely aligned to campness.
It's an interesting point, though, about Holocaust sarcasm. If you just walked past a memorial and went, oh, yeah, all right. Could you be done for that?
If you went, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if you were very close to Adolf's preferred venue.
I tell you, if I see him about making it, even raising an eyebrow, I'm going to make a citizen's arrest. Frank, is it competition time?
It's competition time, and
great.
yes, it's good news. You can win a Dodge.
What kind of car can you win?
A Dodge Caliber.
Oh, is it a Dodge Caliber?
Did you forget?
No, not really. No, I just thought it must be a Dodge Caliber.
I have a list here of all the good things about a Dodge Caliber.
You've got a list of the good things. Surely it's
Imagine
like the Bible. It must be the longest list ever written.
Well,
is it on microfiche?
It is on microfiche. And one of the things is the new Dodge Caliber range has got reclining front and rear seats.
Blimey, I'm speechless.
But I don't understand it. They recline in the rear, do you? Because there doesn't seem anywhere.
Well, the thing is, the Dodge Caliber is like the TARDIS in that respect.
Is
that
it?
things that you wouldn't have thought physically possible can happen within the doors of the
And when
Dodge
you try
Caliber.
to start it, does it go...
Well, not when it's broken, I should make clear. That doesn't mean that it's not starting.
No,
that doesn't
like-
mean that the
it's like
battery's
the
flat,
car.
if you're worried at all.
I know, God forbid.
Yeah.
No, but a reclining rear seat, wouldn't you be sort of sticking out the back, or you'd be looking upward through the back window?
Well, presumably it means you could go to sleep in the Dodge Caliber.
Well,
Should you
what
want to
about
live
the
in
dog?
it?
What about
I
the
might want
dog
to live in
in
it.
the
It's got a
back?
fridge.
You know, if you've got to say a Dalmatian in the back, he's going to be crouching.
Do you know I read somewhere you could get 16 cheerleaders into a Dodge Caliber?
Well,
that'd be quite some party.
On a good night. Will they shout their pom-poms?
I hope so. Anyway,
yes.
never mind about that. You could win one of those in a competition that we're doing.
And of course, as I'm sure you know, we have a mystery voice every show, and if you guess all the mystery voices, you win the car, and the thing is that they make up a World Cup squad.
Yes, that's
There's
right.
midfield players and strikers and goalkeepers.
Goalkeepers, and this one is a very
We're not saying
famous
what this
goalkeeper.
one is. Oh, don't say that. That's too big a hint. Oh, you've said it now. Anyway, this is mystery voice number 5.
The actual save started from Francis Lee having a shot from just outside the area.
So there you are. That's the mystery voice. You've got to put it together with all the other mystery voices, and you can win. Oh, what is it, Frank?
Dodge Caliber.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
Oh, hello, Morrissey.
I missed the bus.
Smart. Bing Crosby's done it this time. Sorry. Oh. Tell you what, I've written another song.
Oh.
Do you want to join in again?
Is it like that English girl song which we did last time?
No, it's completely different, but you'll pick it up. You ready? Oh, good. Tord Grip, what exactly do you do? Do you help David Beckham choose a new tattoo? Tord Grip, what do they pay you for? Do you sit at training matches and help to keep the score? Steve McLaren, I know he's the manager's assistant, but what you do seems rather in the distance. Tord Grip, were you at Trinidad and Tobago? Or did you just sit there like a pudding made of sago? Did you hear the TNT sing London Bridge is falling down? Did you think I don't care? Gothenburg is my hometown. Were you still there when Crouch and Gerrard scored? Or had you left to miss the traffic because you were slightly bored? Brian Barwick, I know he's head of the FA, but with your specific job description, could you make me au fait? Tord Grip, what is your line of work? Where on earth do your talents lurk? I really hope you're not just a silly Swedish burk.
Tord Grip.
Right, it's email time, and those of you who listened to the last podcast will know that one of the things we asked our listeners to send in ideas about was when you have like Tourette's outbursts when you hear footballers' names, the things that the names call up in your mind.
Football Tourette's.
Yeah, you just have to say things as soon as you hear names, and we had quite a few of these, but the one we liked best was from a man who calls himself Boogaloo, and Boogaloo says that whenever he hears the Turkish player Tugay, he has to sing that Kajagoogoo song Too Shy, because he has to sing You're too guy, hush hush, eye to eye. Which I think is must be quite annoying for his mates.
Might have been your favourite, certainly wasn't mine. And I like this one. This is a guy called AJ. I wonder if it's Andy Jacobs from TalkSport. Anyway, he said, I don't know why this occurred to me 4 days after the event, and I blah, 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 but I was watching Prince William and Franz Beckenbauer sitting next to each other during England's first match, and I realised that they have a far stronger claim to be called Posh and Becks than Victoria and David. First, of course, Beck's is a German beer, so that puts Franz ahead of the competition for a start. You know, Franz Beckenbauer.
Yeah.
To say nothing of the fact that in footballing terms, Franz would whoop David's pampered Batty any day of the week. And secondly, I'd venture that Prince William is probably just a teensy bit posher than Victoria Beckham, and quite frankly, probably better looking too. I don't agree with that.
No,
I think
I
like a little hint of eating disorder in a woman.
Do you?
Yes.
What about in a royal? Because they've got a history of it as well.
Have they? Oh yeah, a bit of haemophilia. Took it all in, I say.
Yeah, that's a great idea, I think, Posh and Becks. We've also had some loads of responses to our nicknames for the England squad idea. Quite an unusual one here for Scott Carson, who you might remember came on in one of the friendlies. He's the third choice goalkeeper, but he's described here as losers' ribbons. Like when they say about the FA Cup, what's taken the FA Cup every year and never needed to be used. Losers' ribbons, Scott Carson. You see?
It's a cruel nickname, but quite. Yeah. We were talking, weren't we, about players that go to the World Cup and then never get to take part.
We were talking about it on the Autobahn, weren't we, between Frankfurt and here.
I think Jermaine Genius has gone because maybe it's just me. He's a bloke who I get mixed up with Kieran Dyer.
Yeah, I always get mixed up with Kieran Dyer.
So I think that when Sven heard that Kieran Dyer was injured, he thought, oh well, I'll take Jermaine Genius then, because I think of him as kind of the same bloke. So I think that happened there. Yeah. I also think that Sven has got so utterly devil-may-care in the selection of this squad, is he probably thought, well, I'll take him because his first name sounds a bit like Germany. So he's just operated now on he's betting on the Grand National. Any kind of hunch, any little coincidence, he's picking players like that.
Yeah, so that's presumably the Owen Hargreaves thing. He plays in Germany, Jermaine Genius. He could be Germany Genius. That's what he's thinking of.
Yeah. The thing is, I think it must be brilliant to be in the squad and not play. Because if you think about it, you get a month at the World Cup, you get really, really brilliant seats. You don't have to carry a big suitcase and all that, because there's people to do that for you. You get a bit of a kick around every day. You keep nice, whereas we're putting on like about a stone a week from having like massive fried breakfasts every day and stuff like that. And you hang around with your mates, and it's just fun.
Yeah, I think what you're forgetting from that point of view is that they are footballers, and at some level might want to play and not just sit around and watch the games. What you're thinking, you're basically imagining, as a fan, oh, it must be great to be in the squad. Why isn't that package available as a fan, is what you're saying? Because that would be the best way of seeing the World Cup.
There will be a corporate package probably in the next World Cup put together by somebody where you're actually in the squad. Yeah. I reckon if you pay enough money, you'll get a laminate to wear that says squad player, and you just hang out with the players.
The thing that I think is always a problem in those circumstances is when the team has won, and particularly when they've won a big thing like the World Cup, you sometimes see the player who's just sat on the bench for the whole tournament coming on and celebrating with them. And I always think, don't they feel a bit of a fraud? Look at them jumping up and down and hugging them and whatever. Somewhere behind those eyes is a sense of like, shouldn't really be, it wasn't really anything to do with me, was it?
I even feel that about the players who went off with 7 minutes to go and have just got a tracksuit jacket on. I still think, oh well, I'm sorry, you've gone off now. Don't come back and try and take part of the glory. Yeah. I mean, 66, when you see Jimmy Greaves on, he's in quite a sharp suit. Yeah. He comes on, but you kind of think, well, you look great, Jimmy, but I'm afraid, will you mind your own business?
Yeah, although the good thing about Jimmy is, one thing he hasn't done is gone on about the 1966 World Cup final ever since. He's been a bit quiet about it, hasn't he?
I really respect him for that. I think there should be a Jimmy Greaves book called My Career Except for 1966, because that's been filled in by everybody much less talented than me who got in the team.
Well, I think you'll find that Jimmy Greaves' autobiography is called It's a Funny Old Game, so it should really be called It's a Funny Old Game, except on that day in 1966 when I really wasn't laughing. We're in Frank's hotel room in our quite nasty 1970s hotel that we're in now in Nuremberg, and we've just watched Germany beat Poland 1-0. And there are a lot of people outside also with German flags and shouting and screaming, and I've thought for a while that I might see if there's an attic room here that I could possibly hole up in for maybe 4 or 5 years and write a diary.
Yes, me as well.
Yeah, if you like.
And Frank. Oh, how wonderful. Oh, Dave enjoyed that. That's because we're tired. Dave thinks it's the best joke he's ever heard. Oh, now he's hit his head on the headboard. Not for the first time. Not for the first time in my room.
Well, that's it for another podcast. I'm going home to London now because
going home to London?
You smell so bad. It's so hot. I've had to go.
Well, I'm staying in Germany. I'm gonna hold the fort.
Okay.
And when are we back? Sunday? Is it?
I'm going to come back Sunday, fresh and ready to do another podcast.
Well, I look forward to that, and we look forward to seeing you then, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, look after your parents because they looked after you.
Listen to the unofficial voice of World Cup 2006, brought to you by Times Online and Avalon in association with the new Dodge Caliber.